Chapter 2. The girls crept close enough to see that the shoes protruding from the doorway were yellow kids. One of them was untied, the laces trailing into the pool of blood which had spread over the carpet in a perfect oval shape. "Don't touch anything," Renee warned, still holding onto Julie's arm. "Don't worry, we'd better get help." Renee peered bravely into the doorway. "Oh no. It's George. Is he dead?" Julie asked, her voice tiny, almost a squeak. She couldn't take her eyes off the dark pool of blood. Dead. Dead. The word carried Renee back. Suddenly, she was no longer standing in a shadowy dormitory hallway staring at the body of a boy she had met only a few days before. Suddenly, she was back 3 years in time, staring at the boy she knew, staring at the boy she thought she... "Renee, are you okay? Renee!" Julie's frightened cries brought Renee back. "This can't be happening," she thought. "I can't let this happen. No, no, no!" The screams burst out of her as if she had no control over them, as if they were coming from somewhere else, some place long buried within her. "No, no, this can't be happening!" The yellow kids moved. George rolled over and sat up. "Okay, if you insist," he said, grinning. "You don't have to shout." Both girls jumped back. Renee's mouth formed a wide O of surprise, but no sound came out. Still grinning, enjoying their reaction immensely, George climbed to his feet. "Gotcha," he said. He began to laugh, a wide, toothy laugh, his narrow shoulders shaking, his large black eyes dancing in merriment. Renee and Julie stared at him without moving. "You're not dead," Julie said almost accusingly. "No, I'm not even sick," he exclaimed, and began laughing all over again. The blood isn't real either," Renee told Julie. She scraped her finger through it. "Stage blood." They waited for him to stop laughing. "Why'd you do it?" Julie asked. He shrugged, then he bent down to tie his sneaker. He was wearing faded jean cut-offs and a sleeveless gray t-shirt. The t-shirt was also stained with dark red stage blood. The old memories, the old horrors weaved in and out of Renee's mind. She struggled to push them away, struggled to stay in the present. George took his time tying his sneaker. He tried to wipe the red blood off the laces, but it wouldn't budge. Renee stared down at him, concentrating, willing the old memories away. He's kind of cute, she thought. With his dark eyes and even darker, short, spiky hair, he looked a lot like a movie star Renee liked, Matt Dillon. He even smiles like Matt Dillon, Renee thought. "George, that was a real Mickey Mouse stunt you pulled," Julie said angrily. "Yeah, why'd you do it, George?" Renee asked. Her heartbeat was finally returning to its normal rhythm. He gave Renee his slowest and best Matt Dillon smile. "I was just trying to make an impression," he said. You made an impression, Julie said sarcastically. "Bad one." She blew a wisp of black curly hair from over her eyes. He ignored Julie. He kept his smile on Renee. "I've been trying to get your attention all week, but you've been ignoring me." "I didn't know," Renee started. "You'll have to admit it got your attention. I'm the prop master, so I can get fake blood and all kinds of great stuff," he said with some pride. His dark eyes burned into Renee's. "He's so intense," she thought. "He's like an excited little boy. He seems so needy. I can get scars, bullet wounds, anything. It's terrific." "Yeah, terrific," Julie said scathingly. "So you get off on scaring people, huh?" "I don't think that performing should be confined to the stage," George said. "Oh my God, I can't talk." Still staring at Renee. "Have you read much about performance art? You think lying in a pool of stage blood in our doorway, trying to scare us to death, is art?" Julie asked angrily, her hands on her hips. "Yes, I try to create an artistic situation with myself as the subject," George said. "I think I can evoke the same feelings a painter might, or a sculptor, or even a playwright, by using myself to create a fictitious scene in the middle of a real-life situation." "Come off it. You just wanted us to lose our lunch when we saw you," Julie said. "That would have been a legitimate response," George said in all seriousness. He smiled at Renee. "It's a good thing you're such a fox," Julie said, her anger fading quickly. "If you weren't so cute, you couldn't get away with garbage like that." He seemed to be really offended. "Art isn't cute," he said flatly. Julie reached out and brushed some dirt off George's shirt. "Are you going to be an actor?" Renee asked. The question seemed to surprise him. "Bax thinks I show promise," he replied. He made Renee feel really strange. Most boys Renee knew didn't stare into her eyes like that. It was almost as if he was challenging her to stare back, to meet his intensity. She glanced down at the carpet. Renee and I are going for a swim. Want to meet us down there? Julie asked. Yes, that would be great, he said. No, I've changed my mind, Renee said to Julie. I think I want to go lie down for a while. Julie looked annoyed for a second, then she brightened. Okay, then I'll meet you down at the water, she told George. No, some other time, George said. Julie tried to hide it, but she looked hurt. George stepped past them and began ambling down the hallway. See you around, Julie called after him. He stopped and turned around. If there's anything I can do for you, let me know, he said, looking only at Renee. He seemed to put extra meaning in the words. They were an unmistakable invitation. What about the blood? Renee called. The pool of blood was troubling her, even though she knew it was fake. It'll rush right out. It's water-soluble, he said. He gave her a short wave. Art and illusion, he added mysteriously. That's what we're all here for, right? Art and illusion. They watched him limp away until he disappeared around the corner. Then they stepped over the pool of red and went into their room. It was small, and the painted plasterboard walls were thin. They could hear the girls talking and moving around in the rooms on both sides of theirs. It's sort of like living inside an egg carton, Renee had thought when she first moved in. There was only room enough for a bunk bed, a wooden folding chair, and a single dresser with a small rectangular mirror above it. The dresser was knotty pine, and it took a magician or a muscleman to open the drawers, which were warped and smelled of mildew. There was a closet the size of a phone booth. The single window faced down the hill toward the sound. The bathroom was at the end of the hall. He's a real babe, Julie said, plopping down onto the chair. Renee made a face. Julie looked surprised. He sure seemed interested in you. I don't care, Renee said wearily, lying down on the bottom bunk, Julie's bed. He's not my type. Not your type? He's too intense, too crazy, lying on the floor pretending to be dead. That's sick. It was just a joke, Julie said, surprised at Renee's vehement reaction. And I didn't like the way he stared into my eyes like some sort of mad hypnotist. You're just not used to theater people. He was only being dramatic. Hey, you really don't look well. You got so pale. Oh, I'll be all right. It's just that he brought back some memories. Memories? Something you've been keeping from me? Come on, Renee, spill. Renee didn't smile. Julie realized she had made a mistake by making a joke. She picked up a hairbrush and began pulling it quickly through her tangles of black hair. The more she brushed, the more unruly and wild her hair became. Renee stared up at the top bunk. She was angry at herself for revealing why she was upset. She didn't want to discuss it with Julie. She couldn't discuss it with Julie. So what had made her mention it? Before I moved to Cambridge, she started speaking slowly, carefully, her voice no more than a whisper. Before I met you, something terrible happened. I've never wanted to tell you about it. She was quiet for a moment and then added, I still don't. Julie didn't reply. She kept brushing her hair, staring at the floor. Two girls in the room on the other side of the dresser were laughing loudly. After a while, Julie said, maybe that's why you've been so good in the play. Maybe you've been using your memories, drawing on them to help you perform. I don't know, Renee said, still staring up at the mattress over her head. She was relieved that Julie wasn't going to force her to say more. She would much rather talk about the play than about the memories. You were so good at rehearsal today, so angry. I really believed it when you stabbed Chip. Did you hear me shriek? Renee smiled. I guess I got a little carried away. It was great. You'd better get carried away every day, Julie told her. Bax really seemed impressed. Bax seems to like stabbing, Renee said. I get the feeling that beneath his jolly Santa Claus exterior, there's an axe murderer waiting to get out. Julie dropped her hairbrush. Come off it, Renee. What are you saying? I'm saying that I think Bax is a cruel person. Well, I don't think Bax is cruel. Curtains is a cruel play. I just think he wants to get all of the emotion out of us that he can. Get real, Julie. What about on the first day of camp? How he made us all get into our bathing suits and walk around on the stage in them and stare at each other, looking each other up and down. And we didn't even know each other. He was trying to open us up, Renee. It was a dramatic way to get us over our shyness. It was cruel. And what about 2 days ago when he made us team up and then make cracks about each other's appearance? That was horrible. That's a valid theatrical technique, Renee. Bax wasn't just doing it for kicks. Oh no? Well, did you check out his face? Did you see how much he was enjoying watching us tear each other to pieces? Poor Marcy, that really short girl with the bad skin, she was in tears, and Bax just laughed. He wouldn't stop it. He wanted her to cry. Maybe he did, but not out of cruelty. Being able to cry on stage is a very valuable technique to learn, Renee. Julie bent down to pick up her hairbrush and tossed it onto the dresser. Oh, why do I have to defend Bax anyway? She asked, exasperated. He's a famous director. He knows what he's doing. You're just new to all this. Maybe, Renee said, sitting up suddenly, but even a Martian could see that he really enjoys embarrassing us and making us feel uncomfortable. Well, you don't have to feel uncomfortable anymore. You got the lead role, Julie said with just a hint of bitterness. She quickly changed the subject. How about changing your mind and coming for that swim? It would revive you, really. Oh, I don't know. What Renee really wanted was to curl up in a ball and escape into a long, peaceful nap. Julie walked over to the dresser, struggled with the top drawer, finally managed to pull it open a couple of inches and took out a tiny blue and white bikini. Well, if you make up your mind. She tossed her clothes onto the floor of the tiny closet and put on the bathing suit. Very sexy bathing suit, Renee said, admiring Julie's boldness. Renee knew she'd never go out in public in a bathing suit that tiny. You think so? Julie said, pleased by the compliment. You think Chip will like it? Chip? I thought I saw that look in your eye when you met him, Renee teased. Well, it's just that he looks so much like Danny, Julie said. Danny. Renee froze at the sound of his name. How could Julie mention him so casually?